Hi, I'm Mike Braithwaite, the Chief Biological Officer for Modern Atomics, and we're so glad to be exhibiting for the first time with our new products, REAKTOR and Collider, which are very advanced AI-controlled PDU units. In this rack here, we're showing several different products, including an automation controller, some hubs, and our PDUs right in the middle. The big thing that our PDUs have is we are 50% less than any other shade power supply at the Cedia show, or anywhere, not just Cedia show. We also reduce the amount of space that's needed because we can do 22 shade motors on each unit. So we save about 80% of the space that a typical shade power supply needs. We also save a lot of time. There's built-in programming buttons, and even the person who hangs the shade, they can get the shade going, test their wiring, test everything, and even program all the user interfaces with no software, no downloading. And last but not least, we're also help saving the environment. These units will remove all the quiescent current from any shade motor, and there is no AC power. So even on the rack unit itself, there's no AC inputs. So we do an energy harvesting from either a solar panel, or if you don't have a solar panel, you can plug in a provided passive PoE injector. And we are here to talk a little bit about why we started the company Modern Atomics. So we saw that a need in the shading industry for a very efficient power supply that can reduce energy by not even having AC involved, which means no electricians, no conduit. There's a lot of energy savings in there. And it also removes all the quiescent current from the shade motors themselves. So this actually saves the homeowner quite a bit in cost. As you know, electricity prices have been going up and up and up and up. And so this power supply gives you full functionality. You can still do everything that you could do with any power supply, meaning operate the shades from a voice control system, from a third-party system like a Crestron or a Josh AI. All of those still work, but we remove all the quiescent current. It makes a big deal. What can it do for the dealer, Jim?
So considering that it doesn't require AC power, on a lot of installs where dealers have houses that they visit that actually have no power, they can actually hang and test the units with this unit.
REAKTOR also saves time and space. Because you can do 22 motors per unit, you don't need as many for even a large shade job. So 2 of these units in 1 rack space will give you 44 shades. And from setting it up is a snap too, right? Programming keypads, things like this.
The auto programming function really does speed up the install. In a lot of cases, the installer will go hang the shades and they'll get a chance to test them if possible, but if not, someone else will come back and do the programming. In this case, the actual installer can test everything. They can even do the group programming themselves. That really saves a lot of time.
Absolutely does. And so because we started off and we said there's no AC power, so how does this have power? So inside of the unit, there's an energy storage module, and there's a port on the front that's called a bus in. Now, the bus in has a variety of ways of harvesting energy for the ESM. If the greenest way is if you have like a solar panel. So if you have a Tesla solar roof or anything, you can take one of their segments, and we have a cute little adapter that will adapt that one segment into a bus in. Super simple, and at that point, no AC, no power is ever used. And if you don't have a solar panel, we have a very nice small passive PoE injector that you can also plug in, and it will harvest the energy off the passive PoE. So one of the fantastic features of REAKTOR is not only that we're half the price of any other shade motor power supply, but over time, and we call this a total cost of ownership. Over time, like if you took 10 years later, the homeowner saves the equivalent again of what they saved early on, even during the deployment. So 10 years from now, you have only used because we eliminate all the quiescent current, the operational quiescent current. So think about this. how many times a day does someone use a shade? We ask this over and over hundreds of times to everybody in this industry. The average is about 2 to 3 times a day. Then we ask them, how long does the shade go from the top to the bottom? The average is about 30 seconds. It depends on the size of the shade. It depends on the RPM setting of the motor. There's other, but on average about 30 seconds. So now if you take the 2 movements a day times the 30 seconds of movement, that's 1 minute. So what are all these other shades and power supplies doing for the 23 hours and 59 minutes of the day? They are wasting all this operational quiescent current. And in the past, 20 years ago, nobody cared because electricity was so cheap. But as you know, every year the electricity is, just in the last 4 years, electricity costs have doubled or tripled depending on where you are. And so now, if you're wasting all this quiescent current, you can annualize that. So the average shade job in the United States right now, if you put this in, this will save 412 kilowatt hours. Now just go to your electric bill, look at what your electric company is charging you per kilowatt hour, and that's the cost of having the shades plugged in. Now, by the way, the other companies could also turn off the power to the shades, but then how do they control them? The motors are off. So there is a very advanced algorithms that are in there. When we see a command, if I say, hey Josh, lower the shades, we see that command over the network, and within 20 milliseconds, we've already turned on the power to the shade. We let the movement command execute, we relay that, and then we remove the power again. So for 99.75% of every single day, we are saving electricity, and the homeowner gets that money because they paid for all these shades, and within just a few years, depending on how many shades you have, you've already paid for your whole system in the energy savings cost alone. To buy a reactor, go to our website, modernatomics.com. On the website, there is a button all over the place that says find a rep. And there is also an online store, so you can click buy. So you can go to the reactor page, there's actual buy now, click on it, and it will take you to a cart and you can buy it. What we recommend heavily is click the button that says find a rep. What that means is they're gonna find a local sales rep in your area that knows everything about shades. And you're gonna want that professional to get involved, because for shades, they're gonna, you're wiring shades, you're mounting them, you're gonna want to have professional help on this. It's not yet to the point where it's DIY, it's getting close. And actually with Reactor, it's really close because you're just plugging in the keypad and hitting a button to program it. So it's getting really close, but what that means is the consumer, even if they hire somebody to hang the shades, they're not paying extraordinary labor costs and all that. They're not in there for weeks. You can go into this job, even with all 22 shades, and they're in and out. You know, the bathroom remodeling, the bath fitters and all those kind of stuff like that, the reason why those are so popular is they're in and out of your house in 1 or 2 days, not weeks, which is what it used to be even with shades. The same thing here. I'm in and out of the house in 1 day, all 22 shades hooked up, all controls set up, and it's just not possible with the other systems that are available on the market.
We've really made it easy for the installer, especially with our little cheat sheet on the bottom. It's actually got the tips and tricks for all the programming. It's got all the wiring pinouts that someone may need. It's also got a QR code for the manual if needed. But again, the fact that it does not require AC power, they can hang it, test it, even if there's no power to the house.
The other thing is we're so confident in this product, we put a 10-year transferable warranty, and on the bottom by the QR code that our Chief Power Officer talked about is my personal cell phone number. Because, hey, if you have a problem, call me, I will pick up, and we will help you that day. So we believe that this power supply is the most advanced, easiest to install, lowest cost, and saves energy, which none of these other power supplies do.
Here at Modern Atomics, we're here to help you save the world one shade at a time.
That's right.